Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Got couple of laws that are going to affect anybody in the Philippines or coming to the Philippines. One is the cell SIM card registration law. Everybody needs to register their SIM because we're having even I get scam messages. Rod, you need to do this. You need to do this. Check this site out and register here. Different types of things, scammers. And anyway, I'll get into the details. Governor Garcia here in Cebu province has updated the laws here. One of the issues with, as far as travelers, foreign travelers, one of the issues in the Philippines and probably many places in the world is that LGUs, local government units, can set different rules than what the federal government has. So the federal government recently opened up the uh, country to unvaccinated with an antigen test. And anyway, the Governor Garcia of Cebu province several months ago had opened up Cebu province only to allow unvaccinated people to come, and they just needed to do they needed to do a 5-day quarantine, I believe, and take a test, and if it was negative, go about your business. Anyway, basically, Governor Garcia is now updating the policy in Cebu province to go along. Everything I've read basically gets in line with the federal. So that if you're, and the federal guideline basically says that if you're fully vaccinated, and that in most cases I think that requires a booster shot, you're not required to do any quarantine, any testing, anything. Just come and show proof that you're vaccinated. If you're unvaccinated, you can take an antigen test, get a negative antigen test 24 hours before you fly. Or if you don't do that, you can wait until you arrive in the Philippines, take an antigen test. Probably would be given to you at the airport. And if you're negative, you go about your business. If you're positive, then you're going to have to, whatever the current quarantine rules are, probably 5 days in a quarantine hotel. You would have to go through that process. Um, a couple other things I want to mention. I've had water issues. My water's been turned off. I've been without water a couple times these last couple of weeks. Even in a fairly modern, newish condominium, different issues that come up. The water pumps went out or something. One of the things we have to deal with, and then my internet. I've got Sky Cable internet package, internet and a little bit of cable television, and at least one day each of these last 2 weeks it has been out of service. Still is today. So I'm using my phone and my data system on my phone to give me internet connection today instead of my fiber optic setup that I pay for 1600 pesos a month. So that's an issue, and you can have that issue anywhere, regardless of how new your system is. The water company might have issues getting the water to your unit or development. The internet might be down for certain servicing issues that they have to do. It might be the internet company, whether it's Sky Cable. Now I've had more reliable service with PLDT, which I've had for several years, different places here in the Philippines, in Cebu City, than I have had with Sky Cable. I've had issues with Sky Cable like this, with just going down, no notification, just down for a day or two at a time, and creates a bit of an issue. Anyway, let me get into the SIM card registration law. So everybody here in the Philippines, like myself, I have a SIM card. I've had the same couple of cards for a couple of years, I think, and we'll get into the law. Anybody coming here, anybody having a cell phone with a SIM card is going to have to register it. And that will normally be done. It'll be a little bit of a hassle, but it will normally be done at the place that you first purchase your SIM card. Now, I think they still offer free SIM cards at the airport. and they also give you a little bit of load right there. So if you can find that area in the airport where they're giving away the SIM cards, whether it be a Globe or Smart, um, or another company that's present is new in town here. If you wait and go to a mall or other place that sells SIM cards, they will have to do the registration at that point in time. You're going to fill out your name, the address you plan on staying at, and whatever other information that they ask for. One other issue, quickly, I've got a Google Fi phone, and a couple of years ago I did a video about that, maybe 3 years ago, and gives me a U.S. number here in many countries around the world, including the Philippines. Um, what they have done cost me about $28 a month. What they have done, and it's part of their terms of service, they've cut off my data. It still works for text messages and calls if I'm on Wi-Fi, but they've shut off the data because their terms of service state that it needs to be used the majority of the time in the USA. So if you want to have a U.S. phone number or a European phone number or whatever, and Google Fi is only available in the U.S., I believe, at the present time. Many carriers have an international plan. I think T-Mobile had one when I came here. It was $30. I think now it's $50, something like that. Verizon, AT&T, I think they all probably have. So talk to those companies, see what their international plan is. You definitely do not want to be using roaming data when you're out of your country because you could owe thousands or thousands of dollars. Anyway, let's get back into the cell phone SIM card registration here. Anyway, jumping over to Globe, one of the telecom sites, they've got kind of straightforward information here. SIM registration, SIM card registration law. What you need to know, what to expect now that SIM card registration for all mobile phone users is mandatory. SIM card registration law, all you need to know. And here's some of the details. Following the law's passing, users must register their new SIM cards with the relevant public telecommunications entity, PTE, to activate them, basically your telephone company. Meanwhile, all existing SIM subscribers, like myself, must register with PTEs within 180 days of the law's implementation. Failure to register the SIM within the prescribed period will result in automatic deactivation, and telecommunication companies can only reactivate this after proper registration has been completed. Users must also present valid government-issued IDs or similar documents with a photograph to verify their identity. Minors are also eligible to register a SIM card for use, but only in the name of a parent or guardian consenting to the registration. The law details penalties for violations ranging from 100,000 pesos to 1 million pesos. Here are some of the offenses under the SIM Card Registration Act. Failure to register a SIM card. Number 2, violation of confidentiality. Number 3, registering a SIM card under false identities or with forged identification documents. Impersonating a registered SIM card owner, reselling a stolen SIM card, selling or transferring a registered SIM card without first registering it. It should be noted that this law removed the inclusion of social media as part of SIM card registration because of concerns about data privacy. There was another issue when I first came here for several years, is that if you didn't use your SIM, because I have a 2-SIM phone, and if I didn't use one SIM for, I think it was 60 days, maybe 90 days, they would deactivate it. And you would have to go buy another SIM. You'd have a new number to give out if you didn't use it. And they passed a law, I think, a couple of years ago that states that the cellular companies have to keep a SIM active for 1 year, I think. So what does that mean if you're coming into the Philippines and buying a SIM card for your phone? And by the way, I think you can still get that done at the airport. You can have them give you a SIM. Even they'll probably help you put it in your phone and set it up with some load. I think they give you a little bit of free load right away so you can start using that number. But you will have to fill out a form with your registration information, your name, your likely address here in town, I guess. If it's a hotel, it's a hotel. If it's a condo, likewise. If you are a postpaid customer, just like in the US and any place in the world, to get a postpaid account, I think 100% of the time you probably need to give your show an ID and give the required information um, to set up an account where you would be billed after you use a certain amount of cellular services. So what does that mean for people like me who are in the Philippines before that law was passed, and you've got a SIM or two or three or four that maybe you got a couple phones, like many of you do, and where do you go to register that? And I don't know the details of that yet. If you're here and you need to, you've got basically if you're already here and before the law was enacted, you've got 180 days, which is what, 6 months, to register those SIMs. And I don't know where a person would go to register them. They're going to have to. There's going to have to be a way to do that. I hope you don't have to go to like I've got because I carry both a SIM and a smart SIM, because different parts of the country and different parts of the city, one will have a signal when the other one doesn't. So I keep a load on both of those. I certainly hope I don't have to go to the offices of Globe and Smart uh, in order to register each of them individually. I hope there will be one place where I can go and register them. We will find out in the coming month or two how they will deal with that. And then another issue I wanted to bring up. Several people have commented and asked me whether I've heard about various changes to the visa system here. And many, many months ago, I said that it wouldn't surprise me that there would be some changes. I know that Thailand has made changes to their system and costs. They've added like some kind of a tourist tax or something, not that much, $12 or something like that, I think. But I have not heard any changes at this point in time, but they have a new director of the immigration services with the new president, new administration. There's a new director. So it's possible that we will see some changes. Might change a little bit in the cost, might change a little bit. The various options might change a little bit. We'll just have to wait and see. Unless some of you out there have heard the official word, I have not heard any official information on that. But obviously, we'll all have to abide by whatever rules there are. At the present time, most countries, tourists, people from most countries can come and get a free 30-day visa stamp as you're going through the airport, your initial international airport customs area, immigration area, and that's good for 30 days. And then you can renew that for another 29 days, I believe. You have to go to an immigration office to do it before it expires. And after that, you can increase it by 2 months. Now, I believe if you go to the immigration office at the airport before you go through customs, find the immigration office. I believe that you can still pay for another 29 days there, so you don't have to do it later at another immigration office as you travel the Philippines. But little things like that could change. After you've been here for a number of months, and then many immigration offices will allow you to get a 6-month visa, pay for a 6-month tourist visa. There was a time where Mandawi City here in Cebu City metropolitan area were not offering that 6-month visa. Now, I can't tell you for sure. I think they're offering that 6-month visa again. I deal with a visa consultant, JRC Visa Consultancy and Immigration Services. I've interviewed him on a number of topics, and he's got a number of videos up on his own YouTube channel, Facebook channel as well, going over some of that information. If you have questions, in fact, I've talked to him. I'm going to copy some of his question and answer videos and put them up on my site as well. He does a good job of answering various questions. So I'll do that in the near future, and I'll put his contact information in the description as well. If you want to use an agency to get an extension or get a marriage visa, if you want to get that, if you want to get a retirement visa here, no a business visa, he handles all that type of thing. Anyway, thanks for coming along. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you all in the Philippines very quickly.